My hands trembled as I peeled the bright red notice off my front door. A $500 fine for an unauthorized exotic pet. I glanced down at my orange tabby Muffin, purring at my feet like he did every evening. Exotic? He was as ordinary as a slice of toast. I'd just returned from a grueling day at the law firm, and this nonsense was the last thing I needed. The notice, dated this morning, bore the signature of Lisa Harper, our new HOA president. In just 6 months, Lisa had become infamous for her petty complaints, calling Mr. Nguyen's wind chimes too cultural, and labeling Mrs. Kim's memorial garden a property value hazard. Now, she was coming for my cat. The irony? I'd lived in Maple Grove for 15 years, 10 of them as the HOA's legal counsel. I wrote the bylaws. Lisa was now twisting against me. She didn't know that, though. She'd never bothered to check the records or even say hello. Snapping photos of the notice, I spotted her across the street, pretending to water her tacky pink flamingo lawn ornaments. Yes, those were illegal under Section 7.3, a rule I'd crafted to balance homeowner freedom with community standards. But her flamingos weren't my focus, not yet. Inside, I found another notice slipped under my door, paired with a packet of evidence, blurry photos of Muffin in my window, a highlighted pet regulation, and, laughably, a WebMD article on exotic pet diseases. My phone buzzed with a text from my neighbor Sam Carter. "You get one too?" Before I could reply, voices erupted outside. Through my kitchen window, I saw Lisa and her sidekick, Rachel Evans, marching door to door with more notices. They stopped at Mrs. Kim's, an elderly widow still mourning her husband. My stomach churned. Mrs. Kim didn't need this harassment over her memorial garden. My doorbell rang. It was Greg Walsh, the HOA treasurer, his usual grin replaced by worry. "Lisa pushed new enforcement rules at an emergency meeting," he whispered. "She's targeting 6 other homeowners with fines, calling it her community enhancement plan." As Greg spilled details, I took notes. Lisa had bullied the board into giving her unchecked enforcement power, a clear violation of Section 3.2. She'd even invented a deputy enforcer role for Rachel, which didn't exist in our bylaws. As Greg left, I saw Lisa slap a notice on Mrs. Kim's door. The widow's voice cracked. "This bench is all I have left of him." That was it. I wrote those bylaws to protect this community, not to bully it. In my home office, I dug out my HOA files. If Lisa wanted to play dirty, she'd learn what happens when you mess with the person who wrote the rulebook. Muffin, curled on my desk, purred his approval. The HOA meeting room crackled with tension. Lisa sat at the head, smirking like a dictator, her hot pink nails tapping the table. I walked in with my binder, ready to stay calm, but the sight of her smug face tested me. Half the usual board was missing, replaced by Lisa's tennis buddies, Rachel and Diane, who never cared about HOA business. Lisa launched into her attack. "Let's address your unauthorized exotic animal." She spat the words like I was a misbehaving kid. "Your pet violates Section 8. I stifled a laugh. "Muffin is a domestic shorthair. I've lived here 15 years, and he's been with me for 7. I slid out his vet records. "Here's his documentation." Lisa ignored the papers, fixated on her manicure. "Rules are rules. The fine stands, and if the animal isn't removed in 30 days, further penalties apply." Then I noticed her lawn through the window, those garish flamingos, mirrored in Rachel's and Diane's yards. "Speaking of rules," I said coolly, "should we discuss your matching lawn ornaments? Section 7.3 covers those." Lisa's face reddened. "Those are collector's items, not decorations," she snapped, shuffling papers. "We're here about your pet, not my art." The room felt off. The meeting minutes were thin, financial reports missing, and board member changes undocumented. "I'd like the last 6 months' minutes," I said evenly, "and documentation on the board changes, to ensure compliance." Lisa's eye twitched. "Those are being reorganized." She deflected, pivoting back to my cat. I pulled out my phone. I have an email from the prior president approving Muffin. Want to see it? Silence. Rachel and Diane froze. Lisa adjourned the meeting abruptly, her heels clicking as she fled. Walking home, I knew this wasn't just about Muffin. Something bigger was brewing, and as the bylaws author, I was uniquely equipped to uncover it. My dining room became a war room. Mrs. Kim's notice for her memorial bench, deemed an unauthorized structure, pushed me over the edge. Calls to neighbors revealed a pattern: fines targeted lone or elderly homeowners, while Lisa's friends, like the Thompsons with their unapproved purple door, skated free. My lawyer instincts kicked in. I photographed violations: Lisa's friends' unpermitted pool, commercial vehicles, and multiplying flamingos. Mapping fines since Lisa's takeover, the bias was glaring. Then I spotted her landscaping project, encroaching 3 feet into community land. Digging through old property surveys, I confirmed it. Meanwhile, little Timmy next door hid behind my garage, scared to play basketball because Lisa called his hoop an eyesore. Yet her grandkids' oversized playground? Untouched. At City Hall, I found Lisa hadn't filed paperwork for her home additions. Worse, her presidency might be illegitimate due to unfiled election records. Then my security camera caught Rachel photographing my approved front door, pure harassment. That evening, Muffin lounged in his window as I realized this fight was for the whole community. I called my friend at the local paper. Lisa was about to learn that public exposure is an HOA bully's worst nightmare. Mrs. Kim arrived at 7 a.m. with a box of old HOA letters, each bearing Lisa's smug signature. Neighbors joined us, sharing stories of unfair fines. Tuesday night garage meetings grew from 5 to 15 residents, bringing photos, fee hikes, and videos of Lisa berating kids. Greg slipped me a USB drive after church, whispering, "The numbers don't add up." His spreadsheets showed thousands in maintenance fees. With no actual repairs, the community pool had been closed for months. The former president, now in Florida, sent me old minutes proving Lisa invented rules. My dining room turned into a detective's lair, maps pinned with red for Lisa's friends' violations and green for her unfair fines. The local reporter, whose son was fined for his basketball hoop, started sniffing around. Lisa dodged her interview. A county clerk neighbor found Lisa hadn't filed required HOA paperwork, jeoparding her legal standing. As evidence mounted, neighbors stopped paying fines, kids played outside, and Mrs. Kim's wind chimes rang defiantly. We were ready for the board meeting showdown. The community center hummed with anticipation. Lisa's smug smile wavered as I approached the podium with my binder. The packed room included even frail Mr. Larson, post-hip surgery. "Before we discuss my cat," I began, "let's address some patterns." I projected a community map. Every fine in 6 months hit homes marked red, those who opposed Lisa's election. Gasps. And Article 2, Section 14. I continued, citing my anti-abuse clause. Photos of Lisa's unapproved pool, vehicles, and flamingos flashed up. Rachel shouted, "Harassment!" I countered with Section 8.2's harassment definition, showing her fence violations. Lisa's hands shook. I held up Mrs. Kim's bench fine. "This memorial bench complies with Section 5.7, which I wrote for cases like hers." Mrs. Kim teared up as neighbors comforted her. Then Muffin's clause. "I wrote Section 8 to protect pets like him, approved by the prior board." Greg stood, waving bank statements. "Unauthorized fees targeted complainers." Lisa, purple-faced, screamed, "I'll sue you all!" I smiled. Section 12.8, frivolous threats mean a $1,000 fine and removal. The room roared as I showed Lisa's purple trim next to bylaws she'd weaponized. Neighbors shared their stories: unpermitted playgrounds, RVs, fountains, all ignored for Lisa's allies. Lisa demanded the original bylaws, thinking she'd won. I projected my signed, notarized copy. Article 7, Section 3, no selective enforcement for personal gain. The vote was swift. Lisa, Rachel, and 2 allies were ousted. The new board approved Mrs. Kim's bench, neighbors planting a garden around it. Muffin got a bylaws amendment. All felines are pre-approved, as they do what they want. I framed his HOA inspector certificate beside my law degree. Weeks later, Lisa tried selling her house but had to repaint her purple trim to comply with my bylaws. The new color? Justice Gray. This fight exposed HOA abuse and united our community. What do you think about Lisa's tactics? Should neighbors have confronted her sooner? Share your thoughts below. We'd love to hear your take on power plays in HOAs and how far is too far in community disputes. Subscribe for more stories of justice served.